Good morning, everyone, all you courageous men and women of God and boys and girls. We are in the middle of such an exciting story, the story of David and King Saul and Jonathan at the moment. And David just keeps getting more and more successful, and it really is freaking King Saul out, isn't it? So let's pick up where we left off. We are in 1 Samuel chapter 19. So find it in your Bible. All right, so Saul's been very successful in all of his battles against the Philistines. So one would think that Saul would be really excited about that and happy about that. But the people are growing to love David more and more, and David's becoming more and more famous. And in verse 1, it tells us that Saul now urged his servants and his son Jonathan to assassinate David. So they're not even going to fight against him like a fair match. They're actually going to kill him, murder him. And notice it says, and his son Jonathan. If you remember in chapter 18, Jonathan had the highest respect for David, and he loved him like a brother. So Jonathan is in a fix because his father is planning to have David killed, and he cares about David. So what do you think a really good friend would do? What would you do? You would go tell your friend, wouldn't you? Even though it was your own father that was trying to kill David. And that's exactly what he did. He told him, David, in verse 2, what his father was planning. And he said, tomorrow morning, you must find a hiding place out in the fields, and he is going to ask his father about what he was going to do, and he wants to talk to his father about David and try to persuade him not to be killed. So the next morning, Jonathan did just what he said he was going to do, and he reminded his father about all of the good things that David had done. And he said, the king must not sin against his servant David, Jonathan said. He's never done anything to harm you. He has always helped you in any way he could. Have you forgotten about the time he risked his life to kill the Philistine giant, and how the Lord brought a great victory to all Israel as a result? You were certainly happy about it then. Why would you want to murder an innocent man like David? There's no reason for it at all. So Saul actually listened to Jonathan, his son. And he said, as surely as the Lord lives, David will not be killed. So he came to his senses. So Jonathan was courageous. He spoke against his father. He spoke directly to his father, and his father listened to him. Afterward, he called David and told him what had happened, and he brought David to Saul, and David served in the court as he had before. But war broke out after that against the Philistines, and David led his troops, and he attacked them with such fury that they all ran away. So David continued to be a very successful warrior. But look what happens in verse 9. But one day, while Saul was sitting at home with a spear in his hand, the tormenting spirit came upon him again. And as David was playing his harp, Saul hurled his spear at David, and David dodged out of the way, and the spear actually stuck in the wall. And David, of course, fled and escaped into the night. I think Saul was just consumed with jealousy against David, and he allowed that jealousy to be united with an evil spirit or an evil thought, and that was to kill him. That would never come from God. So David escaped. Then Saul continues, not even after he throws the spear at him and David escapes, then Saul sends his troops to watch David's house, and they were told to kill David when he came out the next morning. But Michal, David's wife, who was Saul's daughter, warned David and said, "If you don't escape tonight, you'll be dead by morning." So she helped David climb out through a window, and he ran and he escaped. Then she took an idol and she wrapped it up in bed and put like some goat's hair on its head so it looked like David was in bed. And when the troops came to arrest David, she told him that he was sick and couldn't get out of bed. So not only was Jonathan brave in this chapter in 1 Samuel, Michal was brave in that she told David and she hid, and she came up with a plan to try to protect David for as long as she could. So when the troops came to arrest David, she told him that he was sick and couldn't get out of bed, and this made Saul mad, and he said, "Go bring him out of his bed and bring him to me so I can kill him." And so they do, and then they discover it was just a fake, an idol, like a dummy in the bed. And Saul is very angry at Michal and wants to know why she betrayed him. And she actually lies. She said that he threatened to kill her if she didn't help him. So she was brave and courageous in one way, and in another way she got scared when it came to telling the truth. So David escaped, and he went to Ramah to see Samuel. Remember, Samuel is the prophet who anointed him in the first place and knows that he's to be the next king. And you can't hardly do anything in secret without somebody finding out. Well, Saul found out where he was, and he sent troops to capture him. But when they arrived and saw Samuel leading a group of prophets who were prophesying, the Spirit of God came upon Saul's men, and they prophesied too. So they could not kill David. He sends a second troop, and the same thing happens. He sends a third troop, and the same thing happens. I think it was 3. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. Yeah, the same thing happened a third time. So the Spirit of God comes upon these men who are going there to kill David, and they even begin to prophesy and to worship God. So Saul himself goes, and what do you think was going to happen? Yes, the Spirit of God came upon Saul, and Saul lay down and began to prophesy and worship God in the presence of Samuel. So David was able to escape at this time. So we had 2 people who were courageous, helping David, recognizing that God had his hand on David. But Saul is continuing to be bitter and jealous. So I hope today that you have really good friends too that would be courageous to stand up for you. But you can always be a good friend to your friends and be the one that stands up for them and looks out for their best interests. All right, guys. I am loving studying the book of Samuel with you guys and the life of David. And I just hope you have an awesome day. Bye for now.